Hi there, it's Ron Gula from Gula Tech Adventures, and today we are discussing company mergers. So, this is a continuation of our VC 101 series of videos where we discuss a wide variety of aspects of founding companies and growing them in the tech sector. Most of our experience is focused on investing in cybersecurity companies, where my job as president at Gula Tech Adventures, we encounter all sorts of issues. Today, we're talking about merging companies. Now, almost every company that I've talked to, the founders along the way, they've thought about merging with another company of equal size. And that's what we're talking about today. So, why you would want to do that could be any number of reasons. Maybe their services complement your product. Maybe their products are sold together. Maybe you're trying to buy into a new set of customers. It doesn't matter the reason, right? Usually the reason is something you're going to have some desire to do. We're going to talk about some tips, though, that you should keep in mind. Once you get over that reason, how can you evaluate these things? So the first thing you want to think about is, are the people that you're merging with, do they have a common goal? If I took those founders into a room and asked, why are you merging? And then I asked you, why are you merging? Is it the same answer? Do you have that same common goal? And a lot of times I've seen mergers where the mergers are happening for as a merger of convenience and not because of any particular grand strategy. The second thing you really want to be curious about is you have to do the diligence on the people you're merging with. You have to talk about the founders, talk to their parents and family, talk to their ex-wives and husbands, talk to former employees, read everything you can online, possibly even think about hiring a third party to understand those people. You're going to work with these people on a daily basis going forward. You should learn as much as you can from a diligence point of view ahead of time. You should also think about how the merger is going to transact. Now, I have here, of course, the Jack and the Beanstalk, where the Jack is going to sell his cow for some magic beans here. You are not going to sell your company for magic beans. There's going to be a stock swap. You're going to sell for cash. You're going to buy the IP. You're going to do an acqui-hire. There's a lot of different ways you can combine companies. You can create a new entity and do a trilateral merger. There's a whole bunch of things you can do there. But the important thing is you need to be able to understand, is it an acceptable deal? Could you describe it to your parents? Could you describe it to your children on why the deal is and how it works? Now, a lot of times when small companies get acquired, there's some sort of earnout where the transaction depends upon a future stock price or a future revenue goal. Those things exist and those things can be good deals, but if you don't control the terms of those things in the future, you don't control the value of your company when it's acquired. The more you understand about that, the more you need to think about that, whether it's a good deal or not. Now, another thing I like for founders to think about, especially founders who are used to making all the decisions, is how are decisions made at this new entity, right? Is there a king, and is the king, consulting a crystal ball and issuing edicts about decisions? A lot of times there can be complexity in mergers because maybe the founders have board roles and the board has a say in certain things like strategic direction of the company, mergers and acquisitions, exiting to other companies, and so on, or even things like CEO and executive salary. Those kind of decisions, the more you know about how they're made up front, the more comfortable you should be about going into a merger. I have many founders I've spoken with over the years that they kind of had that gotcha moment where they're no longer the CEO, or worse than that, they don't have the ability to make the decisions that they used to make. And the more you know about that up front, the better it is. And you know more about what you're exchanging for when you're merging those companies. Regardless of the state of your company, you should have a legal and finance team give you counsel on the structure of the deal and how the deal works. This can be complex, though, because if you're small and you have an outsourced lawyer and the other company is small and they have an outsourced lawyer, if you get both of those lawyers to work together, you can do that. In some cases, I've seen a third party where they arbitrate because there's no bias at that point. But most of the time, the merging companies have their legal teams work it out together. Regardless, there's usually some legal gotchas, whether it comes to copyright, whether it comes to the incorporation of the company, that cause things like tax considerations and other types of business implications that you might not think about as a founder. You might just be thinking, hey, these two companies make a lot of sense together. So getting a legal and financial third opinion is really important. Now, once you have this agreement, as a founder, you really should be working on a transition plan. You've got to build stakeholder value. What does that mean? You need to talk to the investors. You need to talk to the management team. You need to talk possibly to customers of both of these companies. The more you can get buy-in and have a consistent message, it's the better it's going to go. Now, this is tough because I like to, empower people, let them do that. But this is a case where you really don't want your investors or your senior leaders in your companies kind of making up their own story. So it's really good to build some consensus and stakeholder value by literally, talking about the talking points, talking about the reasons why you're doing this, having a town hall meeting where you can answer these questions in front of possibly customers, investors, and employees at the same time. I've actually seen that happen. The more you're consistent, the better your story is, and the more likely that people are going to remember it. Now, nothing happens automatically. You need to have a transition plan. You need to think about all the different things about merging the companies. What are the functions that are going to go together? How's payroll going to work? How are the IT systems going to work? And this should not happen overnight, but it shouldn't take forever either. There's got to be a transition plan. And this is something where you can involve a lot of senior people. You can start building some culture between the two organizations. Now, culture is actually probably the biggest thing you've got to put together. If you're going to merge companies, how are you going to merge those cultures? Are those cultures going to align in a seamless, dance number here? Or are they actually going to clash? And is it going to be something you have to do team management with? Now, one of the more prickly things is when you merge companies, you probably will have some overlapping of resources. Who's going to make the decision about, do we need to downsize some people? Do we need to copy this? If we have redundant people, do we really need to have both of them? Who makes those decisions of who leaves and who stays and who goes? Same thing for IT systems. If you have IT systems, whether they're big cloud systems or on-premise systems, who's going to make those decisions of which are overlap, which need to be phased out, and which need to be kept and modernized? Now, the last thing you really need to keep in mind is that once you have merged these companies, you're not at the finish line, you're at the starting line, right? You have a new company, new resources. You need to celebrate that. You need to recognize the people who are contributing, and you need to build that culture moving forward. So this was fairly high level, but it hits on a number of things that I've seen founders get caught with over the years. If you'd like to see more videos about this, check out the VC 101 series of videos that we have on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Gula Tech Adventures YouTube channel. Hit us up on LinkedIn or visit us at gula.tech. I'm Ron Gula. Thanks for watching. Good luck merging your companies.